Hi, my name's Matt Gleed, and today we're doing a Matrix Fitness UK question and answer, and I've got a guest with me today called Lucy. Lucy, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Matt. Hi, my name is Lucy Findlay, and I am the events director for Elevate. Elevate is the UK's leading business-to-business trade event for the physical activity sector, and we cover physical activity, health, and performance.
Fantastic. So, Lucy, with Elevate, I mean, it's a show that I've gone to several times. Tell us a little bit about the Elevate business.
Yeah, so the event has been running for 5 years now. We're going into our 5th year for 2020. We are predominantly business to business. So we work with gym owners and operators attending the event to see the latest equipment and supplies and innovation from all the different kind of companies, all the things you'd see within gyms. And then we also have a therapy part of the event. The therapy part of the event attracts physios and osteos and chiropractors. And that part of the event really kind of brings together that more therapy and rehab side of physical activity. And then we also have the performance part. So we look at future performance, we look at sports scientists and athletes coming together all to kind of bring together how to get people more active and support those that are.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, it's quite a big show as well. When you're putting on a show such as this, how many people would come through the doors? Like, for example, last year?
So we have around 8,000 attendees, and that's made up of kind of a mix of audiences, all professionals within the physical activity space.
Fantastic. And so what do you put on there? I mean, when you start to talk about some of the keynote speakers and the people who are going to be effectively, I imagine distributors who are going to be there. It's also then going to be people who are coming there as decision makers to kind of look at what's coming out in the industry. Tell us a little bit about sort of the talk that you have and sort of some of the events that you actually have within the event.
Yeah, of course. So we have about 250 speakers last year, which is just crazy. I'm very fortunate that I don't have to deal with a lot of that part of the event. The speaker side is put together by the program manager, and that looks in areas. So we have content that's geared towards the operators, how to kind of make sure their business is running efficiently. We've also got kind of sessions about how to improve engagement and looking at the more political and public sector piece. There's content around your getting kids active and active aquatics. The conference is the kind of the thought leader piece. So that's kind of got your kind of keynote speakers in there. Last year we had Gareth Thomas speaking about his struggles with elite sport and afterwards. And then we also have the future performance stream. The future performance stream this year is sponsored by What Bike, and that's looking at more how athletes work and the innovation within getting athletes that 1% better. And then the therapy part, there's more workshops going on there, so it's a bit more hands-on in some of the content there, and that's looking to get those physios and osteos those CPD points.
Fantastic. So it really has an incredible mix of almost, if you're a trainer who just wants to go and get some education, if you're a manager and you're looking for best practice, but also if you're an owner, then there's also products available that you can maybe look into as well. It almost seems to cover in so many setups. What's happening in the business this year then?
So this year, obviously, COVID-19 has changed our plans a little bit. We were meant to take place in June. Sorry, my dog's barking away there. We were meant to take place in June, but obviously Excel is not available to us. So we are now working towards an October event.
Right. Okay. So that's obviously a big change of plans then. So what's going on with I guess it's because the Nightingale Hospital that's been now kind of positioned within the Excel Centre. Is that right?
Yes, it is. So they started building that a few weeks ago now. It is now being used as a hospital. So the venue have moved all their events from March, April, May and June and July all the way through to the end of the year. So the Excel have been very busy rescheduling events, and we've now secured some dates for October. So we will run on the 11th and 12th of October this year.
Okay, great. So at least the event still goes ahead. So that way then you can still effectively look after the kind of the need of the industry in the UK as well. Because it's really important to have an event in the UK rather than us having to travel over into Europe, to events like FIBO or over to the US into Earth as well, because those events can become very costly for people, and at the same time it doesn't allow the people in the UK to kind of get an insight, because there's always that need to look after the kind of the interest of the people who are actually going to be on the gym floor, and they don't always have the funds to travel everywhere to go to these events either, do they?
Yeah, I think it's really important that there is something that is in the UK, and I think it's important that there is a space for the UK sector to come together. While it is amazing to come together with America and the rest of Europe, we run at a different pace to them. We're looking at things slightly differently. We run differently to them. Our organisations are run slightly differently to some of the Europe sites. So I think it is important to come together as the UK, and it's an amazing opportunity for companies outside the UK to kind of see how the UK works kind of within the fitness space. But yeah, definitely for operators, or smaller operators particularly, or individual PTs or physios, to have that in London that's pretty easy, accessible. Elevate is also free to attend, so it's just your travel to get there. It's a good opportunity for everybody, and that's kind of why we do host it in that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've always enjoyed the event. I think it's fantastic to actually have somewhere where you can go and you can see all of the businesses and actually network together as well. So that's a really important setup. What did you do before Elevate then?
So prior to Elevate, I have worked within the sector. I worked for the Ballantyne Group within sales and marketing. And then after that, I worked in recruitment for a little bit. So completely different, out of the fitness game for a couple of years, but working on the business to business side of recruitment. So more bringing on clients. And then I found Elevate as I was relocating, and I've been on Elevate since it launched. So I've done every year, which is super exciting, and it makes me very kind of passionate and very kind of protective of it.
Yeah. So within the kind of your personal build up, then obviously you came into this, I presume because of your interest in the fitness industry as well. What kind of led you? What was your pathway into fitness and kind of your own personal sort of setup as well?
Yeah, so my kind of pathway into fitness is a bit of an odd one, actually. I was not a sporty kid at school, ever, was never into PE. And I spent most of my time in the musical theatre department, and that's where my education led me. So my degree's in drama and performance, and I quickly discovered when I gave up dancing when I went to university, I was like, gosh, I'm so used to exercising, but I never saw it as exercise because I was just in the dance studio every day. And so then I started going to the gym because I was kind of like, I was used to exercising, but didn't really kind of realize I was exercising. Got into going to the gym and became a bit of a gym bunny through uni, and then kept that up really after university. And then because that passion was already there, decided to do my fitness qualifications. And then while I was training to become an instructor, I was doing that at a Ballantyne club, and then I just basically asked if I could have a job, and I did. I got one. So yeah, I just kind of got in it that way, and just love the sector, love training still, love being a part of it, love all the kind of different elements of it, both for physical and mental health, which is massively important to me. And then when I came out of the sector for a little bit, I really missed it. So the opportunity to work on Elevate really helped me kind of get back into that sector and be a part of it, but also still utilizing kind of my business to business sales, which is kind of one of my kind of key kind of parts of my job, really.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. So within the fitness world then, obviously you're a very active participant in fitness classes and the gym. What's happening with yourself in terms of this lockdown at the moment then? And are you getting your workouts in, or what are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, I am getting my workouts in, but it's very different to normal. So I was it's quite funny, when the gyms closed, I had about 5 friends message me like, how are you going to cope? Because they all know that my morning gym session is like my kind of just daily routine. So I am training at home. I've got some weights which were kind of gifted to me. So I have some weights, which is fantastic. and I'm able to do some workouts at home. I do my own thing sometimes, and I've done a few Instagram lives as well, which has been fun and actually really helped me kind of feel like I'm training with a team again, which I'm starting to miss. Obviously, I normally train weights, so I go to quite a weight dominant gym, and to not have those heavy weights it is different, but I've just had to change my goals. I'm enjoying a little bit more functional training, more kettlebell workouts and things like that. I am still running, so I do run. I was meant to do a few half marathons in this time, and they obviously aren't happening. I am trying to be a little bit more aware though with my running. It's not the easiest thing to keep a distance while you're running, and I am fortunate enough to live in Brighton, but Brighton seafront is really quite busy with people walking and exercising. So I'm trying to find routes that are a little bit out of the way and trying to limit those to about 10-12k, just so I keep my time outside to around an hour, just because I feel that's more, for me, I feel that's a responsible thing to do. I also have a dog, so I'm walking him. He's only a little dog, so it's not like a big exercise, but it does mean that I don't feel like I can go running every day. A few people were like, oh, you'll have a great time, you can just go running every day, but I can't do that and walk my dog, so I have to kind of pick and choose how it works, to make sure I'm kind of sticking to the rules but also keeping active.
Yeah, sure. And with regards to, I mean, obviously you've got a big interest in fitness. So if we think about the 2020 fitness trends that were kind of published and kind of the predictions as to what's going to be popular this year, obviously this year has not gone to plan. When predictions are made, they're obviously going to change. And in times like this, it's quite an insight. But how are you linking your personal fitness into some of these trends at the moment? And do you recognise that some of these trends are actually coming true because of this situation in particular?
Yeah, interesting. There are some of the trends that I think are going to be pushed higher up that list. So always high up the list is wearable tech, and I'm seeing wearable tech making massive improvements and playing a really important part in keeping people active through this. So My Zone obviously do fantastically well in the gyms, but they're also really helping gyms engage with their members at home still. So they've got challenges going on, and gyms are supporting their members at home, making sure they're being active. And I'm seeing that's a really great way to make sure people do keep exercising at home. So I think that's fantastic. I also, so I use My Zone, I have done for over 4 years, so I'm Hall of Fame now, which I'm very proud of.
Well, that's good. That's not easy. That's a lot of consistency put behind that.
Yeah, I'm quite, I got quite addicted to it at one point. Now I'm kind of level, but I went through some crazy Met months. But I also wear a Whoop. So a Whoop you wear consistently, and that looks at your heart rate through activity, but also all day, and also looks at your heart rate variability and gives you a recovery score based on that and your sleep. That I have found really useful in this, because it's made me very aware of my stress. It's made me think if my heart rate variability is very low, I might be unwell or fighting something off. So it has helped me make choices, not just around my activity, but around my general day-to-day, based on how my recovery is coming through. Is making sure that I'm going to sleep at a decent time, that I'm keeping healthy habits, that I'm practicing things like meditation and yoga to keep me kind of in a good recovery and a healthy heart rate variability. And they've also added to their notes section. So every morning when you wake up, your Whoop will tell you how recovered you are, and also ask you to add some notes to how you're feeling and things you may have done the previous day, how much caffeine, how much alcohol, etc. And one of the things it's asking now is if you have any COVID-19 symptoms, and making note of those. And that data is also being used to help look at trends that are linked to COVID-19. And I believe the Aura ring, which is a ring wearable, have a similar thing happening with their app, and they're finding it really useful for helping them engage more with the medical and health sector, which is, a really interesting thing, this link between physical activity and health, they go hand in hand. Many of us know that, but there are battles to make them match up. Part of that would be kind of how much research goes into fitness products versus medical products, how much education goes into fitness versus medical. But I do see this virus bringing them closer together. So one of the other trends for 2020 was physical activity as medicine. And I do feel that this virus will help push that further up the agenda. This whole message of getting people active for their physical and mental well-being, not just for their aesthetic, I think is getting pushed higher up. You know, we're seeing generally those that are fit and healthy will recover from this virus. I know that that's not a rule for everyone. We know that, but as a general, that's kind of what people are saying, and I think it's encouraging people to look after their health a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's clear benefits of maintaining better health. Now, if we can kind of get the nation to be healthier, and I think there's often I'm going to try and refrain away from using a word of excuse, but there's often a leanance into people almost saying, well, I haven't got the time to work out because of work, because of family life. And at the moment, maintaining activity, one, is really important, like you've already mentioned about mental health, but just trying to incorporate the ability to get people to actually find activity, and whether that is with their children or whether that is with families or whether it's with a partner, I do feel like the communities are starting to come together a little bit more. And like you've already mentioned, partners of my zone and other wearable tech, they really are trying to engage with people, and I think that's really important because it is creating, because we are island mentality people in the UK, where we do tend to go gung-ho on what we believe and what we think, and I think it's really important that the message now of activity, and it might only be an hour a day, but it is really important to kind of track what you're doing and listen to your body. And I think in the last sort of maybe couple of months, I feel like the fitness industry has actually caught up maybe 10 years, because we're now actually really embracing technology, which has always been the message that it was going to come. But I also feel like we are using that wearable tech to really kind of almost direct us in what is the right direction, whether it is about social engagement, whether it is tracking, like you've said, your sleep or alcohol intake. And there's a lot of more conscious thought being put into what the activity is going to be. Like you say, with your 10K yourself, you're now picking routes which you might have just normally done the easiest route, but now you're starting to plan your route. Well, the nice thing about that is you're already planning to do the 10K rather than, I'm going to go out for a run and I might stop at 6K or 7K. Well, if you've got a loop in mind, you're already better mentally focused on that. So it's a really interesting trend that I think is actually coming true now.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think the way that this giving us, one of the things the government said was keep active. You can go outside for activity, and by doing that, they have encouraged people to be active more so than probably ever before. And I'm seeing out when I'm running or out when I'm walking, I am seeing people that are kind of. I was talking to a lady from a distance the other day, and she was running, and she was stopped to have a little breather. And like I said, I live in Brighton; it's a beautiful place, and I kind of just stopped as well. And she's like, "God, you make it look so easy." And I said, "Oh, I've been running for a few years. What about you?" She said, "I've only just started." And I thought, how many people are there out there that have now started exercising? And I was like, well, keep going. And she was doing the the couch to 5K app running thing. And I thought it's just amazing, like that this has given her the opportunity, that's given her the encouragement to say, go and be active. And it just makes me think how many people are using this time to work on themselves a little bit more. We live in such a busy world, and I definitely felt it in the first couple of weeks from working from home, of this, oh God, I'm getting more sleep, and I'm taking more time to do simple things that I should just do anyway. But but I get myself so busy and I keep myself so busy all the time, which I love. And I know that's a massive privilege to be so fortunate to be so busy all the time. But it also just gave me a couple of weeks initially to start with to reflect on what I do, and is that important, and am I actually missing out things that are more important. I've always kind of been active, so for me getting active wasn't something new, but for lots of people, they don't feel they have the time, and now they might not have their commute, so they are using that time more to get active. And I think once this is all over and the gyms are open again, we will have members of the population who have fallen in love with activity in this time. We're seeing parents do the Joe Wicks workouts. We're seeing people doing their couch to 5K. We're seeing like all these Instagram lives. The gyms may be shut right now, but the sector is wide open. And I think it's a really exciting time. And there are so many companies helping and engaging with that, even though their main kind of function or their main kind of area was initially the gyms. People are adapting really well to helping people in their homes.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. There's when I look on Instagram, I mean, it's almost, when Joe Wicks is on at 9 o'clock. So as a fitness professional, you don't do any workouts at 9 o'clock because he's got 2 million people in his pocket, jumping around like Spider-Man, which I think is fantastic. It keeps that population engaged, which is great. But I do find that there's a lot of personal trainers who have either not been drawn into the social media world of doing workouts online, and now I can almost tell when it's a popular time, because at 8 o'clock in the morning, my phone is telling me that there's all these live workouts going again at lunchtime and in the evening. So I think it's incredible how the fitness industry has actually caught up with the technology. Have you been doing any of these live workouts? I think you mentioned earlier that you have been doing some.
Yeah, I have. So I've been doing a few different ones. I've been doing a lot of the Third Space live content. So I think that's an amazing opportunity to work with some of the best trainers in the UK remotely, and some of their workouts are horrendous. There's some really complicated kettlebell complexes in there, which it's really nice to just do something different. So they've been really good, and I really like the way that they use AMRAPs and EMOMs in their workouts. So then you can comment and say how far you got, and then you're kind of getting a little bit of competition between who else is in there, and you're also kind of setting yourself a bit more of a challenge. So that's been really fun. And the other thing I've been doing, so it's not live, but I've just been doing yoga on YouTube. And there's a few different 30-day challenges on there, and me and my friend have been doing the same one at the same time, so we're kind of doing the same practice each day, which is really nice. So you kind of feel like you're doing yoga with somebody, but not. So I've been doing those predominantly, and there's so much content out there, which is amazing. So the next thing I need to look for is some mobility drills, because that's the one thing I neglect in my training, and have done throughout every type of training I've ever done. I always neglect mobility. So I feel like this is like no excuse to really just do some, yes, yoga does help with that, but some proper focused mobility work. So there's a lot of content out there. I think it's amazing. I've got friends who are PTs who are training clients remotely using things like Zoom. And I think that it's a really interesting space. I use a PT, but I use a PT in a slightly unique way. I don't train with her face to face very often at all. She writes me a program, and I go to the gym and do it, record my weights, and work with her like that. And then we have sessions every now and then to check in on form and things like that. It just works better for me with my schedule. And she's based in London, and I'm based in Brighton. So it's been really useful to check in with somebody and keep yourself accountable. And I think that's what a lot of PTs are using this time to do, is to keep in touch with their clients, make sure their clients are staying accountable, even if they're not doing their workouts. But I feel it's a really interesting time for PTs to up their game. And I think the Zoom coaching will really show the difference in quality of trainer. It's not the easiest way to even talk to somebody you know. So to be able to train somebody through it, you've got to really know that client, and you've really got to know how they're moving, and to be able to pick up on certain things and tailor that workout. You can't correct them physically. It's all about your cues and your coaching, and I think it will really show the trainers that have that skill set.
Yeah,
but it's amazing.
I think there's so many trainers who are used to giving exercises, and what I tend to find is that they deliver workouts, and those workouts might be good workouts, they might just be hard workouts, but to actually allow people to really understand about how to make variations and to tweak technique, and just to coach them through accurate wording so that the person gets the most from it. I do feel like this is actually not only going to challenge the fitness industry in terms of the technology side. I think there's already great improvement. Zoom to apps and wearable tech is all coming in useful, but there is going to be a differentiation between instructors now, because you can actually go online and you can see some of these, like you mentioned, some of these incredible trainers in London. Third Space is a great example of a gym which is really high quality. I know a lot of the trainers, like Luke there himself, and those sort of trainers, they live and breathe, and they're so good at what they do. And because they make such a high-end living from doing it, when they say something, there's real meaning and thought being put into it. Where when I do find going into some other gyms and you meet trainers who are just qualified and they're starting to learn from this, but one, it's an incredible opportunity for trainers to listen and learn from more experienced trainers. But there's also an opportunity where the members of the public can now actually start to look at all different types of workouts and really start to almost decide what makes a good trainer. I mean, is it just the personality? Is it because they like the person? Or is it the quality of the workout and the cueing and the coaching that person gives? And I think there is going to be a separation in the industry. And I think the best of the best will they say, well, the cream will float to the top. The best of the best instructors will definitely showcase themselves in a much better light.
Yeah, 100%. And that's interesting you said about the opportunity for coaches to go and watch other coaches. I'm always surprised when I've worked in the sector, actually at gym level, how many coaches don't go to other people's classes, and how many trainers don't go to other gyms to see what they're doing and to have a look at things. Like, everyone needs to learn from each other, and I think it's an amazing opportunity for trainers in the comfort of their own home to see what other trainers are doing and how other trainers teach and coach. Luke at Third Space, his kettlebell workouts are insane, but it's not just his the way he puts his workouts together. It's his overall engagement, and the fact that he's able to do that remotely is amazing. So I've gone on to some other ones, and it's not been quite the same, and it's kind of thinking about that whole setup, and just kind of, it gives the trainers of now more important than ever that they are their own brand, and they know what they are, and they know what they do, and they do it well. And I think that knowing your own brand and knowing who you are as a trainer, but also not being afraid to recommend other trainers with other expertise or other kind of areas. So one of my friends who's a PT has been kind of suggesting her clients do more yoga, and been doing yoga workouts online, because it's not what she coaches them in at all. But she's like, you need to use this time. We can't go and lift heavy weights right now unless you're lucky enough to have a home gym. So let's focus on other parts. Let's make sure your sleep is effective. Let's talk about your diet, because let's face it, lockdown life could go one way or another with your diet, So it's I think it's an opportunity for trainers to become more human, and to make sure that they're engaging with their clients in that way, but also giving them a more rounded wellness PT experience, which great PTs and coaches do anyway. But I think it's a really interesting time for people to kind of upskill and just kind of assess how they do engage with their clients. And that's not just in the PT world, that's operators to their members, that's myself to my clients. The list goes on. As a whole population, we are going to be more focused on how we engage with people moving forward.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's almost like self-development, isn't it? And that self-development can be working, like you've said, on your mobility. It could be for personal trainers learning and understanding communication skills, and also getting insights into how to set up an exercise and how to coach it, and almost how to facilitate different types of workouts as well. But again, this could well be, like you've said, for members of the public, it could just be almost like monitoring sleep, making eating habit changes. This is a real time for almost analysis on what you naturally do, and actually, is there a better way? And almost looking at, because I'll be really honest and say that I find myself in the car a lot, and when I'm in the car, am I being most productive? I mean, I listen to podcasts and things like that, but are there opportunities where I can actually start to say, right, well, when I'm in the car, I'm productive, but when I get home, I do tend to find that I'm tired from the busy day. Is there still an opportunity to make sure that I make the most out of what I'm doing? So, like you've mentioned before, a bit of meditation, making sure my yoga practice is done. And it's almost that self-development, prioritizing what you're doing and really focusing on how to, change your natural instinct and adapt. And because we're being forced at the moment, but there is time to make habitual changes here as well.
Yeah, the food one's a really interesting one. I read somewhere, I think it might have been on BBC, that 60% of the food prior to this virus, 60% of the food we consume is from the supermarket, and the other 40% we buy and eat out or take away. And that's a massive figure. That's a massive split, much more than I thought it would be. I prefer eating at home. I like cooking and things like that. So obviously this change of restaurants not being open and things like that not being available, we're now eating much more at home. And so it's an amazing opportunity for the nutritionists and those that are passionate about good, healthy home cooking to engage with the population at home, because we are at home now. We have to cook. We have to do things like that at home. It's an amazing opportunity to educate children in cooking as well. So there's so many opportunities for that whole well-being piece to come together with this little extra time that a lot of us have. Even if you're working from home, you might not have a commute now. And also just to kind of upskill a little bit or get some more understanding, because the other thing is that a lot of people are putting all this content out there, all this support out there for free. Like that very rarely happens. Like I was saying, like you wouldn't be able to train with some of these trainers unless you were paying for the membership and the PT, and you're getting it for free. Okay, it's virtual, but you're still getting some really good content out there.
Yeah, no, I think it's really interesting that you talk about the food. I mean, I was talking with my parents the other day, and they were saying, oh, there's nothing on TV but cooking programs. And it's like, what an incredible time to, pick up some new recipes and go out and try these things. I mean, it was almost funny because I said to them, oh, which one were you looking at, which you're going to try? And they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to try any of these. They all sound a bit fancy. And it was quite amusing, the fact that they're spending all this time watching cookery programs, but yet they're not quite brave enough to try it. And it's a bit like fitness as well. There's so many personal trainers out there who get the advice of, well, I want some personal training. I want to get fitter, but I don't think I'm fit enough for personal training yet. So they always talk about how they're going to, I want to get a little bit fitter before I go to and see a personal trainer. I mean, it is that opportunity to really start to self-develop further. What about yourself? What things are you doing at the moment that you just almost haven't done, or what are the trends that you're really sort of finding that you're going into, and kind of you're almost proud that you're doing something different, and when you come out of this, what's it going to be like to continue with it?
Yeah, just first of all, picking up on the point about getting fitter. When I worked for Ballantyne, one of the main reasons people wouldn't join the gym on that day is because they didn't feel they were fit enough to go to the gym yet, which blew my mind when I first heard it as a reason someone wasn't going to join. But this now, hopefully, there is an opportunity for people to get that a little bit fitter, to get that fitness bug, and then when the gym's open, they are an active prospect. So hopefully that will be a lot of people out there. And for me in this time, I found it very strange not to be able to go and see people, but we're making do with virtual group chats and things like that, and trying to stay in touch with people, making sure I'm checking in with my I find that one of the first things I noticed about this is that my go-to, oh, I'm sorry, I've been really busy, is out the window. Like, I am still working, I am still busy, but actually that's not an option anymore. That's not, I can't kind of fob something off now because I'm busy. So that's been really nice, actually, to take some more time to speak to my grandparents more on the phone and things like that. So that's been lovely. Doing yoga, I would normally try and get to one class a week, but if I'm honest with you, it's the one that happens on a Sunday, and if I don't feel like it, I might not go. Whereas now, okay, I'm doing really kind of like 20 minutes, half an hour sessions online, but I'm doing that pretty much every day, which is new for me, and I'm actually really enjoying it. So that's been really good. I'm focusing much more on sleep as well. One of the things I have done in this isolation, I actually started it before this all kind of happened. I haven't drank now for 60 days. 60. So I, just because I'd had like quite a boozy February with my birthday and things like that, and I thought, oh, I'll wait after I got back from a trip from Rome, and I was like, I'm not going to drink now for 30 days, and then I'll be in Ursa in San Diego for Ursa. Now, obviously that didn't happen, and so I thought, right, I'll wait until another set of social events that I had planned, and then they obviously didn't happen. And I thought, well, actually, this is a really good time for me to, I know that alcohol affects my sleep, I know it affects my heart rate variability, I know that it's a really important time for me to look after those things and look after my immune system. So I'm actually using it as an opportunity to not drink. I never would normally drink at home anyway. I'm not a big drinker, but I'm finding it a really interesting way to look at certain relationships I have with drinking, but also with food, and how I do kind of combine those things with how I'm feeling, with how stressed I am, or whatever. So yeah, it's been a really interesting time to kind of assess things a little bit more and take a little bit more time over certain things.
Yeah, that's really great. I mean, congratulations on that, because it's really good when you're starting to change habits as well. So that's a really positive. Lucy, just before we start to wrap up then, tell us a little bit about some of the insights, because obviously you're very well connected within the fitness industry. What's happening in the industry that you're seeing at the moment that you actually think is going to continue once the gyms reopen their doors?
So I think that a few things will happen. I think this virtual world will stay to some extent. I think people will now know that they can do some instructing virtually, which will be amazing for PT clients who are on holiday and still want to train virtually with their PT, or people that are away for business. I think that's a really amazing opportunity that this has kind of highlighted, that we can do it. It's not, I doubt it's many people's first choice, but it is an opportunity. So I think that will stay around. I think the wearable element will be even more elevated than before. I think that people will really enjoy using that. I think gyms will continue to engage with their members when they are outside of the club. And it's been something that's been said in the sector a lot, is that you can't expect your members to stay and only do exercise with you. That's not actually helping them get active and have it as a habit, because it's too easy to break that. Then if you go on holiday, you might not want to come back to the gym. It's not in your blood. I'm sure you're like me, that when you're on holiday, it's like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that workout and I'm going to run there and I'm going to cycle there, because it's in our blood to do that. Whereas a lot of people will go, I'm on holiday, I've got a week off the gym or 2 weeks off the gym. I probably train more when I'm on holiday than I do any other time. So I think that gyms continue to engage with their members outside of their clubs and make sure they've got platforms in place through their apps and technology, engaging with us, being a part of their active life outside of. Um, and what I hope for probably most out of all of this is that getting people active and the benefits of being active and the benefits of leading a healthy, more balanced lifestyle will get pushed higher up the political agenda and will be supported more so than ever before. I'm really hoping this will be a push to make sure that the health sector and the fitness sector come together and work together more and respect each other more. I think that's been maybe a key bit that's been missing. And hopefully that the fitness industry will continue to upskill themselves to support the health sector more as well. So I think there's a lot of positive that can come out of this. It's going to be really tough. You know, it's going to be really tough for a lot of gyms out there. It's going to be really tough for a lot of equipment companies out there as well. It will be a difficult time, but I do feel that when we come out of this, our sectors will be united and our sectors will be most valuable that they've ever been before.
Yeah, I do. I think that's an incredible insight, and I completely agree. I think the businesses are going to find it hard, like every personal trainer's found it hard. From small businesses to big businesses, there's going to be huge challenges. But as a sector, we offer so much. We are offering huge amounts at the moment in terms of free content, and I think we're really going to see almost an upskill in the services that we provide. We're going to come out of this absolutely fighting, and a lot of people are going to come back with, potentially a real engagement with operators and wearable tech. And I really think that it's going to be a positive. It's going to be short-term pain, no doubt. But I think there was an element of the fitness industry needed a bit of a kick up at the bum, and it needed to almost reinvent itself. And I think it's definitely been a big kick.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's a lot of suppliers out there like Matrix that have amazing relationships with their clients already, and they will now be able to give their clients a kind of a different support. This time has shown us how important face-to-face relationships are, and there's suppliers out there who have amazing face-to-face relationships and amazing relationships with their clients, and this is a time to really come together and support each other and make amazing partnerships now so that they will pay off for years to come.
Yeah, you talk about the Matrix relationship. One of the most incredible ones that I found representing Matrix at this time has been the engagement from universities, because they have a huge, incredible variation in terms of their membership base, from students all the way through to faculty of staff. And then they also have a lot of public coming in as well. And they operate some of the largest gyms in the UK, and some of the facilities are absolutely incredible. And yet they work with anybody who is, maybe a young student who's looking to just maintain an active lifestyle, all the way through to people who are wanting to reduce stress when it comes to exam times, all the way through to elite athletes. And it could just be somebody who teachers all day and they're on their feet and they just want to come in and do their workout before they head home and relax. So the insight that I've been able to almost understand from the university sector has probably been an incredible learning for me over this time as well. So Lucy, go on, Lucy, you finish off there.
Yeah, I was going to say the universities are it's an amazing thing to bring up, because some of their facilities are phenomenal. I think my university gym was probably the best gym I've ever trained at. But I think it will be a really interesting time for the universities, because they will now have they have a duty of care to keep their students fit and well and engage with communities as well, as they're open to so many. The one thing that I didn't mention that I think will definitely stay within the gym sector, and I hope it will, is that hopefully there'll be much cleaner spaces moving forward. The last few weeks before lockdown, they were definitely cleaner than they've ever been before. So all the kind of gym wipe and hygiene companies are going to be very busy.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I've definitely spotted a couple of gyms, and it was incredible. The gym that I go down, they were obviously putting every other treadmill out of order in order to create that distancing. And they were constantly cleaning, and I certainly remember when I came into the industry, I felt like a part-time cleaner, part-time fitness instructor, but it was a grounding that I had to go through, and I don't see any reason why that should be any different these days, because that, you know, when people are going into a fitness and a health environment, the health part comes through cleanliness as well. So no, I'm agreeing with you. I think that definitely if we can keep that going, then that would definitely increase the standards and hopefully attract more people into the gym as well. Brilliant. Okay, Lucy, well, what we're going to do is we're going to finish off there. Thank you very much for joining us.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. Thanks, Lucy, and hopefully you'll get out of this lockdown situation in your better, healthier way as well. Thanks, Lucy.
Yes, you too. Take care. Thanks so much.